everyone, and this is Arwa, and welcome to another video of the Yoga of Life. So this has been a lot of fun recording videos at the time of COVID, and today I wanted to really just talk about embodiment, what it is to be embodied, and what really is embodiment. I've seen that in the past year or so, all these practices, embodiment practices, somatic practices, different people teaching it have come up a lot. But I've realized that this has always been the core of who we are, being embodied. It's been there since the beginning of time, to be in our bodies. And now it's come up as a whole field of study, integrating different modalities in it. So today, in this short video, I just want to really explain a little bit about what it is to be embodied from an overarching perspective, and some ways that we can use this in our own lives. So what is embodiment? Now, we have a body and we are our bodies. Those are two, different things, but also in a way they're very much integrated. Now, for most of us, the disconnection happens when we work from a mindset of having a body, but we don't integrate the aspect of we are our bodies. And what that means is we're too busy in our head or in our minds. And from my own experience, that definitely is one thing that I really struggled with. I always intellectualized things. I always explained rationally, logically how something should be. And because of my own life experiences, I kind of had to shut down my felt sense, my feeling brain, and really use my thinking brain. Like, you can really see it. There's a lot of stuff going on. Even right now, as I speak, I can see myself and I see there is just so much busyness here. And there's not a lot of that going down into my body. This is how I've lived, I would say, for 35 years of my life. And I really didn't even know that there was something like being embodied. It didn't even occur to me that I could use my felt sense, my intelligent body, to inform what goes on here. So going back to the discussion of having a body, and we are our bodies. So we are our bodies is more the felt sense. It's more how we're feeling in the moment versus how we are thinking about our feelings or how we are rationalizing our feelings. It's just more sitting with our feelings, sitting with our emotions, not rationalizing our emotions. And having a body is when you have to really rationalize things, use your mind, use this part of your body to be able to figure stuff out at work, at home, with your kids. We have to sometimes use our logic and our problem solving abilities to be able to think through things, and I guess embodiment would be more, how do you bring the two together? How do you integrate the two? So how do you, at every point in life and every decision you make, with your kids, with your spouse, at home, at work, just in the normal daily doing life, how do we kind of use this felt sense, this intelligent body, and our rational thinking, our intellect, and bring them together in a way that makes a coherent package, which adds to whatever it is that we're trying to figure out, which adds a sense of meaning, a sense of value to whatever the issue at hand is. So for instance, instead of always rationalizing something, say for instance, someone sees a really pretty piece of jewelry, for instance, and as an example, and they really want it, and the felt sense is saying, you know what, I'd really like to own this, but my rational brain is saying, you know what, I really don't need another piece of jewelry, or I have so much myself, I'd rather not buy this, or maybe I can't afford it, so you know what, maybe I shouldn't even look at it, or even go to the store, or even feel a sense of desire for that. And when we kind of engage in shoulds, that I shouldn't look at it, or I shouldn't go to the store, or I shouldn't feel a sense of desire for it, we kind of block our feeling sense. We tell our feeling that, hey, what you're feeling is wrong, so don't do that. Rationally, I either can't afford it, or I already have too much of it. So you know what? Maybe just don't even go to the store. Don't even feel the way you're feeling. And as I said, what we're doing is we're blocking our feelings, and our feelings kind of have to be rationalized. We lose touch with whatever is below our head, and we bring it all here, and we say, okay, we're going to rationalize our feelings, so hey, shut this part down, and no, I can't have that piece of jewelry. And that doesn't work, because that suppresses how we're feeling, suppresses our desires. And if we keep doing this in different areas of life, if this is how we live, or if this is how we move through life, we're going to always be rationalizing things. And okay, it might be working for you until something happens, and until a big life transition happens where your mind completely shuts down, and there is nothing here to feel. So there is a sense of numbness, there's a sense of disillusionment, and your mind is so tired, there's fatigue. So it kind of blocks a way forward. And on the flip side, say for the same jewelry example, so if instead of blocking our feelings, instead of telling our feelings, hey, I shouldn't feel this way, I shouldn't want a piece of jewelry, how about we kind of change the dialogue that we're having with ourselves and say, hey, I really, really like this piece of jewelry, it's very pretty, I wish I could have it. We go inside the store, we touch it, we feel it with all our senses, we hold it in our hand, we kind of look at it. So we really appreciate the beauty of it, and then we kind of have a conversation with that piece of jewelry that, hey, you're very pretty, I really like you. However, at this moment, I have a lot of other pieces of jewelry, so you know what? I'm going to keep you aside, and I hope that you find another owner who really takes care of you and appreciates you. And we walk away from the store knowing that we haven't blocked our feelings. We've allowed ourselves to feel how we feel. We've allowed our disappointment that we can't buy it, yet the amount of joy that we feel when we held that piece of jewelry, and at the same time, the amount of gratitude that we feel that we already have so much, and we're thankful for that, and that's why I'm going to put you away. So we build a sense of meaning in our lives. And we also show compassion, and we say, hey, I really hope that you find another owner who really takes care of you. So we've kind of integrated all of these higher level spiritual emotions, I would say, gratitude, meaning, compassion, joy, and we've kind of built a sense of meaning around our felt sense. Now we go back home, and then we're more positive about the jewelry we own, more positive about the jewelry that we left at the store, yet connected to our felt sense. So translating this into our daily normal life, if we move through life like this, if we're in touch with our feelings, yet we use our rational intellectual brain, our logical problem solving skills, and we bring the two together. So when a big life transition hits, or when we experience loss or death or divorce, for instance, we're not shutting down our felt sense. We're not telling ourselves, hey, don't cry, or you know what, good riddance that you got divorced from him, or when someone dies, we don't allow ourselves to feel the way we feel. Yet if we're moving through life, incorporating this felt sense, we allow ourselves to feel how we're feeling. So we allow ourselves to feel sad. We allow ourselves to feel angry. Say we're angry at whatever happened, right? We allow that anger to come out, and we allow that, and we find a place for that anger in our lives. We process it. We put that anger in perspective. We don't shut our anger. We don't shut our sadness. We don't shut our guilt, for instance. We allow all of those feelings. We don't label them as good or bad, negative or positive. We just allow them to come up, to embody. We embody those feelings, and then we kind of process them. We let them move, and then we let them go, and they find a place in our lives wherever they need to be. And that way, moving through life like that, we kind of integrate our rational mind and our feeling mind, and we kind of build a coherent sense of meaning around it, which helps us to build value, to add meaning, to figure out what our next steps in life are. Instead of a shutdown into how we feel, and instead of the numbness and the confusion and the self-doubt and the anger, which is displaced. It could be displaced anger. So if we don't allow ourselves to feel angry, we could take that anger out maybe on someone else who might not be the recipient of that anger. So it becomes displaced, or that anger might come out as self-doubt or shame or anger towards ourselves, or being too hard on ourselves, that hey, you should have done this. So it comes out in shoulds and should nots in life, instead of just a sense of allowing, a sense of processing, a sense of feeling all of those feelings. And some ways or some methods to be able to feel this in very broad strokes, because it's a short video. Mindfulness really helps, because we're kind of consciously aware of how we are feeling in our bodies when we're practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness can be practiced in many ways. It doesn't have to be the traditional meditation, sitting in a place. That's also definitely a way. But say we're walking, we're taking a walk, we're taking a hike, we're just kind of engaging all our senses in what we're doing. So we're smelling the air when we're hiking, we're feeling the sun on our face or the wind on our face. We are feeling our feet on the ground. We're hugging the trees. I love hugging trees and touching them. So we're feeling the things around us, the trees, the leaves, the different people walking, or whatever else is in our sight. So we're kind of integrating our whole bodies, and whatever thoughts that are coming up, we're allowing them to come up. We're not forcing, we're not pushing. Whatever feelings are coming up, we're allowing them to come up without putting them in a good or a bad box. And we're just kind of processing whatever's coming up in a conscious way. So mindfulness, from that perspective. Another good way to be embodied, or to feel what we're feeling along with the doing mind, is focusing. Focusing is a technique which allows you to kind of go into your felt sense, allows you to clear a space, metaphorically, and just feel what we're feeling, where we're feeling in our bodies, and to name those feelings that come up, and to check with our bodies if those feelings are really what we're feeling. So it gives us words to be able to describe how we're feeling in our bodies, and then we go back and check. So we're telling our bodies, hey, I trust you, and I trust what you're feeling, and I'm coming back and checking what's going on there. So it's a dialogue that we're having with ourselves, with our mind and our feelings, and we are allowing it to inform each other versus being polarized. Another somatic practice which I find really beneficial well, any somatic practice like Aikido as well, or martial arts. But for me personally, yoga has really been a really amazing somatic practice. And of course, there are many kinds of yoga, and people practice yoga for different reasons. But for me, I guess what has worked the most is, so it depends on the different phase of life I'm in. Sometimes I need a more active practice. Sometimes I need a more relaxing, passive practice. Sometimes I just want to feel a bit more grounded or a bit more empowered. And because there's so much out there in the yoga world as well, it kind of scatters us because we don't know exactly what kind of yoga should we practice. And all yoga definitely is not the same. So, of course, a little bit more knowledge into our own bodies and what we need, but it's also a process. It's an ongoing process of figuring out what kind of a yoga practice will work for you depending on the phase of life you're in and depending on what your body needs. So that process of figuring that out in itself is a conversation that we're having with our bodies. In itself is a way to get to know our bodies. It itself is a way to be our bodies. And for me, I believe it's a combination of any yoga practice that will allow my creative mind to think, which will allow me to feel all those higher level spiritual feelings or emotions of gratitude, joy, creativity, ideas in my head, new ideas, making connections between different things, and as well as a sense of groundedness in my body, a sense of, okay, this is where I am in who I am, and I'm totally okay with who and how I am at this moment. So it's a conversation versus this disconnection that I would have, where my mind is thinking about something, but my body is not really where my mind is. So it's whatever that gives me that feeling of being connected intellectually, in my felt sense, in my emotions, and if I can take all of that information, I would say, and kind of process it in a way that makes an integrated package which adds value and meaning, and those kind of yoga practices are really beneficial for me. So to wrap it up, embodiment is embodying whatever it is that we're feeling, what we're going in our bodies, versus having a body and not feeling the feelings of being in a body. So it's kind of integrating the two in a coherent package that I would really say would constitute the core of embodiment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be kept updated on new videos. And if you have any comments or thoughts on the topic, then please leave a message in the comments below.